We're good, yeah?
So we take our winemaking seriously, but we take our fun seriously too. And after a long vintage with, when you're wet and cold, you've been working, vintage just doesn't stop when the grapes come in. We've got to keep making wine right through until about August. And then August is, in Australia, it's still damp and drizzling, wet, and cold, and miserable. But when the wines are all cleaned up and happy, we say, right, let's go for a break. And we go up to, we used to go up to Darwin a fair bit, where it's good fishing. And because the temperature's 30 degrees and the sun's shining and the beer tastes great, so it's good to get away from wine occasionally and drink a few other things. We do a pub crawl, light plane, from pub to pub, town to town, from Adelaide up to Darwin, right across the continent. And every time the plane took off, whoever's in the back seat would have to open a bottle and start drinking. And whoever's in the front seats would be piloting and navigating the plane, which is fair enough. But of course, there's no toilets in a light aircraft, but that wouldn't stop us from drinking pretty savagely, and I do my standard 3 bottles of red or white or green or pink or whatever we might be drinking, like a 5-hour flight, and I had no problem filling up a 2-litre, drink bottle as the arrival.
You don't mind recycling.
Recycling, that's it, perfect, yeah. Whereas my friend had stage fright, he couldn't do this, so I said, it's all right, mate, I won't look, you just go for it, but he just couldn't do it. But of course that didn't stop him from drinking. He was drinking at a furious rate as always. And so the pilot decides here's a good trick. So he lands at the airport at Uluru, Ayers Rock, and there's a group of Japanese tourists there, and of course he had no stage fright whatsoever when it came to as soon as the wheels touched the ground, he was out the side. It wasn't a cloud in the sky, but it was a flood on the tarmac. Yeah, there's a lot of stories I could tell about those trips. No casualties.
The flight home, Crocodile Head.
Oh yeah, the flight home was a bit rough. We lost a few instruments and the plane looked a bit of a mess, but we just had to finish off the last few bottles of wine, and there was a crocodile's head in the front of the plane, so that if you're feeling a bit unwell, that's going to sort you out before you even take off. So yeah, it was a bit of a boys' trip. You wouldn't want to be there if you're female or a bit queasy. I could go on and on and on, but I'll write a book about it. My father wrote a book, I'll write a book, but I've got to finish having adventures and creating stories before I can sit down and write a book. So I'm not quite there yet.
You're doing alright so far.
Glad to have a drink with you boys.
Cheers, yeah,
cheers.
very good. Yeah.
Don't forget while we're here, this is the Kenny store.
Yeah.
Kenny store.
A good store it is too. And we're holding up the customs, so we're getting out of the way.
Alright.